Felix van Groningen and Charlotte van der Mercer's 2022 film, The Eight Mountains, explores how people search for meaning through place, identity, and relationships. It follows Pietro, who grows up in Turin, and Bruno, who is raised in a small alpine village, as their lives slowly take different paths. At its core, the film is about belonging, about trying to figure out where you fit and what kind of life gives you purpose. It asks a simple question: do we find meaning by leaving and exploring, or staying and building something in one place? Through Pietro and Bruno, the film shows two very different paths towards the same goal. The thesis we chose for our presentation is why, despite Pietro leaving the mountains and Bruno refusing to leave them, are both portrayed as searching for the same sense of meaning. In this film, leaving is shown as a search for meaning through distance. We see this in Pietro, who keeps moving and separating himself from his past, hoping to find something more somewhere else. On the other hand, staying is shown as a search for meaning through permanence. Bruno chooses to remain in the mountains and build his life there, finding purpose in stability and routine. Even though their choices are completely different, both of them are responding to the same need: the need to find where they belong.
Pietro represents distance. So Pietro leaves to escape his expectations and he searches for meaning elsewhere. Pietro distances himself from his father and his past. After his father dies, he returns to the mountains. His movements show that he still is searching and hasn't found where he belongs. This emphasizes that he does not feel fully at home, even though the place is tied to his childhood. His decision to leave the mountains again and again suggests that he can't accept the life his father wanted for him, but he also can't escape it either. Each return feels less like a choice, more like something pulling him back, showing that his identity is still connected to the place, even when he tries to live differently. His distance from his father becomes part of his search for meaning, because he is trying to understand who he is without simply repeating the life that was expected of him. Bruno represents permanence. He stays and builds his life in the mountains, finding his meaning through work and stability. When he rebuilds the house, it shows that he creates meaning through his work. The physical effort of carrying stones, fixing walls, and living off the land makes his life feel real and purposeful. Unlike Pietro, Bruno does not question where he belongs, and his connection to the mountains gives him a strong sense of identity. But staying also limits him. Because he never leaves, his world becomes smaller, and when problems come, he has no other way of falling back to live on. This place gives him stability, but it also traps him, suggesting that commitment can create meaning, but it can also make a person vulnerable if their entire life depends on one path. Pietro and Bruno both share a struggle, and both of their paths lead them to be isolated. Distance cannot find belonging, but neither can permanence. Even though they chose different paths, they both struggle. Pietro cannot form lasting connections, and Bruno becomes isolated by staying where he is. Pietro's constant movement keeps him from fully belonging anywhere, while Bruno's refusal to leave keeps him from changing when his life becomes difficult. Their friendship shows that they understand each other in a way no one else does. Yet even that connection cannot completely solve their loneliness. The film shows that neither path fully solves their search for belonging, because meaning is not found only in freedom or only in permanence. Instead, both characters live with a sense that something is missing, and their lives suggest that belonging is not a single place or choice, but something that must be created over time through commitment and willingness to change.
Belonging as an identity. Both characters define themselves through the mountains, their families, and each other. Even when Pietro leaves, he keeps returning. Bruno never leaves. Their identities are shaped by the same place, just in different ways. The mountains become a constant reference point for them, but they respond to that constant in opposite ways. Bruno Pietro experiences the mountains as something he must step away from in order to understand, while Bruno experiences them as something he must stay with in order to remain whole. Because of this, their identities develop through contrast. Pietro's life is defined by movement, travel, and distance, yet every time he returns, he reconnects with the same landscape and same memories. Bruno's life is defined by stability and responsibility, but that stability only has meaning because it exists in relation to Pietro's absence and return. Counterargument. Some might think Bruno's life is more meaningful because he builds something real. He stays in the mountains, works with his hands, restores the house, and follows the same life his ancestors lived. His life looks solid and concrete, and it seems closer to the idea of purpose because he takes responsibility and never runs away from it. But the film also shows the cost of this choice. Bruno becomes isolated, his world grows smaller, and he struggles when life no longer goes the way he expected. His commitment gives him meaning, yet it also limits him, because he cannot imagine a life outside of the one he has chosen. Connection to Viktor Frankl. If there is a purpose in life at all, there must be a purpose in suffering. Each must find out for himself and must accept the responsibility that his answer prescribes. This connects to Viktor Frankl's idea that humans are driven to find meaning. Pietro searches without committing, while Bruno commits fully. The film suggests that meaning requires both responsibility and flexibility. Frankl argues that meaning is not something given to a person, but something that must be discovered through the choices they make and the responsibilities they accept. In the film, Pietro represents the side of human nature that needs to question, explore, and step away in order to understand life, while Bruno represents the side that finds purpose through commitment, work, and staying connected to one place.
So, in conclusion, The Eight Mountains really shows that the search for belonging is something everyone experiences, no matter which path they take. Like, even though Pietro leaves and Bruno stays, they're both kind of chasing the same thing. They just go about it in a completely different way. And what the film makes clear is that neither of those paths fully works on its own. Pietro keeps moving, but never really feels settled, while Bruno stays and but ends up feeling stuck and isolated. This actually matters a lot today because people are constantly dealing with the same question. Do you keep exploring and trying new things, or do you settle down and build something stable? There's not really a clear answer, and that's kind of the point. The film suggests that meaning doesn't come from choosing one path over the other, but from understanding your choices and what they turn you into over time. So, yeah, it's less about where you go and more about those decisions that shape who you are.